Right, Steve.
Hello there.
Thank you for coming. I should have
Thanks
had
for having me.
Diana Blajana
Mm.
come and visit, but she wasn't ready because I think
Oh,
2020's got to her.
yeah, it does to all of us. I am gotten to as well, to be honest.
I think that everyone's on this depressed wave. We can't
Well,
stop.
I mean, it's autumn, right? It's just so much worse because nobody has anything else to do but to sort of wallow in their own desperation at the moment.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with my friend here. Humanity needs love. So, big shout out to her. If you really like this, subscribe, share it with friends, press the like. You know what I mean? Today's topics we're going to talk about are why is USA boycotting China? China and cancel culture, Australia wails out, and cancel concerts 2020 list. I try
Yeah, we
not,
have a list.
yeah, I try not to be depressing, but we're gonna go through them,
Yeah.
and
We've
we're
been
gonna
productive and we've made a list of things that are not going to happen.
you know what? It's when people pay for them, thinking that they're gonna have a concert to go to. I feel sorry for
Uh,
them.
yeah.
So, without further ado, we're going to go into why USA boycotts China. Why do you think that is then, Steve?
Well, to put it most succinctly, I'd say it's because China is asshole, to be honest. So overall, the USA is taking well, by boycotting China, however you want to put it. Well, what basically happens is that the USA is responding to Chinese own policies, somewhat in turn. So yeah, you could say it's responsive to Chinese own actions. To be honest,
And do you think
because
that,
what else can you do? You know, that there is that there is a ambivalent pressure on the USA in that on one hand it is expected for the US to guarantee liberty and freedom and peace for all in the world, and the expectation is there, but on the other hand there is also the expectation that they should leave everybody alone and let them do their own thing. So I think the USA is taking just the option of, okay, we can let them do what they want as long as they don't interfere with what we're doing. So they're just gonna be cutting them off entirely.
I kind of agree with you on that one. But also, I feel as though USA actually have a damn good point. And I'm going to point this out because most people ignore newspapers unless it's The Guardian. So I'm going to show you The Guardian and what it says in The Guardian. Okay? It says China has built a 380 internment camps in Xinjiang, study finds. Construction has continued despite Beijing's claim re-education system is winding down. And
Hmm.
yeah, China has built nearly 400 internment camps in Xinjiang region, with construction on dozens continuing over the last 2 years, even as Chinese authorities said their re-education system was winding down. An Australian think tank has found, and the network of camps in China's far west used to detain Uighurs and people from from other Muslim minorities include 14 that are still under construction, according to the latest satellite imaging. And this is obviously in September. You know, I'm up to
Yep.
date with the news. Giving it
Hmm.
to you, but I just want to take everybody to this study because I
It
thought
is a very good article indeed. I have to really commend The Guardian for publishing it. I wouldn't expect them to actually publish a valid study and very objectively written about, well, you know, the partners, so to say, partnering country of China.
absolutely. I mean, the rest of the world has been nice and tried to use free will as one of those things. And the discussion that I had today was about free will and how it's disappearing because people just think that they don't have to boycott something or they don't feel that it's necessary. I'm going to show a few satellite images here so that people get the point. We did have a problem with all the people that came in from the Mediterranean, and we didn't want to put them in camps, refugee camps.
Hmm.
We kind of wanted to send them back type thing. So I don't know. I've heard different types of stories about how this has gone down in Xinjiang province, and
Yeah, well, yeah.
mhm,
I don't really think we will find out many details other than what we can see through satellite, because that this is the only physical sort of evidence of what's going on. But yeah, it can mean a lot of things, and really listening to an interpretation is could be muddy in the waters. Um,
I mean,
but yeah, considering what the article says about the proximity to factories and things like that, and Chinese own admission that those are being used for political purposes.
I mean,
um, yeah, it makes it quite bad. Yeah.
I do feel as though this is one of those subjects that,
I mean, let me be clear about this. Whenever a country builds anything that they call anything like internment, re-education, or anything like that,
mhm,
that only means one thing, really. Labor camps is another example of it. There isn't much labor that can be done by prisoners,
yeah,
you know. So saying it's a labor camp, what one should ask, okay, so what are they working on exactly? Because the answer usually is their own death.
yeah, which kind of reminds me of Nazi Germany. I
Hmm.
can't help but think that we are looking at some real dark, sinister
Yeah,
stuff.
look, it was done by Germany. It was done by USSR a lot, and and China basically follows the model that both Nazi Germany and USSR were implementing, so to say. It's about the method, it's the totalitarian authoritarianism. That's the problem, and it always ends up with that kind of thing. Um, yeah. There's okay, there can be said a lot about the reasoning for doing it, but the sheer sort of visceral reality of it is that they do this so people listen to them and do what they say.
Absolutely.
There's no other purpose for those things, and there have been some news that they've been allocating Tibetans in labor camps as well recently.
Wow.
So yeah,
Now that you mentioned the Tibetan thing, I mean, this has been going on for like 40 odd years with Tibet, or
oh yeah,
over that, well over. And I don't know whether or not we've been sponsoring them to be building these things. So I understand why America is boycotting.
yep,
Um,
yeah,
because
yeah.
why would you want
Yes,
it?
yeah, exactly.
I
Um,
mean,
there is the question of the outcome of trade, right? You're making a deal based on certain expectations, and so if the other side starts, meeting their end of the bargain, but then using the fact that you're trading with them against you, you have to do something.
I feel as though trade has always been the forefront of everybody getting on with each other.
Yeah,
Music,
but it can be
literature.
a war, you know.
Absolutely.
Humans are very inventive. Uh,
Absolutely. You know,
yep.
I don't have a shadow of a doubt that it could be.
It's like nuclear fission. It we can make electricity or bombs with it. It really depends.
Yeah, this is another thing that scares me is the fact that it will be human body parts that they use these people for, or it will be to build a bigger army, to reform
Yeah.
them
Oh
to
yeah.
build a
Yeah,
bigger
yeah, yeah. I
army.
mean, if there are factories, those have to be like munitions factories or something like that. I would imagine that's usually what slave labor is used for anyway.
I mean, I'm just going to go on to the whole China, Tibet, and the Uyghurs, a pattern of genocide, and to sort of like show that it is a serious thing. And none of the musicians have sang about it yet, which I find really flipping strange. Um, unless they're supporting this, I haven't heard otherwise. But a lot of people in Hong Kong protested against it, right, last year, and it was the Hong Kongians that were actually in need. So it says, uh,
It
for
says
example,
that if someone committed genocide once, then they might do it again. They're
yeah,
likely to do it again.
yeah,
Okay.
I do like the fact that
I
it
appreciate it's Reuters telling people that look, it happened again. They're likely to do it once more. I can appreciate that actually.
And I do like the fact that it says, for example, Germany's Second Reich
Yeah.
exterminated the indigenous Herero and Nama people in 1904 in the African country known as Nambia. The
Hmm.
techniques, the perpetrators, and the motivators were refined, updated, and used a few decades later in the Holocaust. Same perpetrators, different location. I kind of don't
Yeah, the same methodology was also used in gulags. It was also continuation of the art, if you want to call it that. It is a whole science of
absolutely.
extermination, really, because it's a massive logistics undertaking. You know, you have to do something with like hundred thousands or millions of people. That takes central, very highly organized planning to perform, And so they definitely have some methodology behind them that it's been perfected since forever. It's just, yeah, the Second World War. Why it was bad is because war has become industrialized, and so there are like manuals for efficient getting rid of people and stuff like that. Marxism is, by the way, part of it. It's a manual how to topple governments.
Mm. I I do feel as though, even though it's people power, Tibet did the best that they could. Um, but because they are Buddhist people and they are not necessarily army based, it was easy for them to take it over. So,
I
I mean,
mean,
it's
you reckon if Buddhists had guns, it would be like any more difficult for China to take it over? It was entirely dependent on what on recognition of the situation by international community. So people, other countries could just say, no, Tibet isn't Chinese, get away from that.
hmm.
But yeah, that didn't happen. Uh,
I do think that it is one of those things that the belief system is that if you look weak, they won't take over you.
oh
And
yes, that is definitely the case. Because yeah,
it kind of backfired on their face, you know? If you look scary, then obviously no one's going to want to take over you or anything else like that. It is a shame that there was a sort of an ideology that was based on trying to reduce them, and forcing them into labor and forcing the sterilization of their women. I feel as though that is exactly what communism is. Why the hell
mm.
haven't we got bands singing against communism? Because
Who do
their
you think won the
CDs
war?
are made in China, that's why. And their t shirts are made in China. It's all cheap, cheap. See? Cheap labor, they get all these things.
Oh, it goes so much deeper than that because like talking against communism has been persecuted in the West as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the like society was like primed to just like don't think about communism and don't look at China, and so well, I'm not saying like it was directed from start to beginning, but it developed in such a way that people simultaneously just don't feel comfortable talking about communism at all. So they ignore everything related to it. And they also think China is broadly okay because it's a socialist country. And socialism means sharing according to like the masses. So it's all good.
No, but I was just reading this and it says Xinjiang is expected to produce 35 million tons of crude oil by the end of 2020. Xinjiang, also the country's largest coal reserves, an estimated 40% of China's national total, and the country's largest natural gas reserves, and the Uyghurs are sitting on it. But do you know what I mean? We're supposed to be going through all of this um, CO2 Paris agreement, right? Nobody's singing about it, are they? And they're not going, oh, China, behave yourself. They don't want to. I mean, it's a good reason, though, isn't it?
I
It's like,
mean, the climatic policy of the EU is that they will outsource everything polluting somewhere else. So as long as they're not producing the pollution, then they're morally justified and they're the good guys. And so everybody else is gonna be polluting, but at least it's not gonna be the Germans. So the German will be the good guy again. and that's all they fucking care about. I swear to God.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we'll carry on living in a bubble, shall we? You
Hmm.
know, because this isn't the country that gave us the virus. No, they told us that one and we went with it. So instead, let's blame everything on Western society and the fact that
Of
we
course.
shouldn't say what we want to say, even in music.
Well, we all know that all suffering comes from capitalism. So, of course, if China murders, fucking millions of people, it's definitely Americans' fault.
Oh,
It's
it's
just,
all
it's,
America's fault.
it's as simple, isn't it?
Yeah, it's simple answer, you know. And it's not like the EU doesn't have anything else to do but send all the factories over to China
Of course
and
not. No,
making
no.
more and
That's
more.
America made them as well.
Absolutely.
With
Everybody's
all this
sending things.
capitalist competition and whatever, that they were just forced to do it.
Now China have got too big for their boots. I'm sorry. But we've now funded them and their concentration camps. Sorry to say.
Well done, the West again.
Yay!
Just
Let's cheer. 3 cheers. Now we've got absolute evidence because back in 1940s, right,
oh yes, yes,
when
it wasn't that
America,
obvious. Yeah.
yeah, when America came over and helped,
Yes.
they didn't know about the concentration camps.
Yeah. But basically everything from like late 1930s is well, it's like a mythological time. A lot of records have been on purpose destroyed or lost, and so a lot of things is unknown about what was happening, objectively speaking, between like 35 to to 1990 in Europe, to be honest.
Hmm. But this also brings us to the next bit about China. I really like this. You know how cancel
Hmm.
culture became a thing, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about Weibo. Have you heard about it?
I've heard about it. Yes, it rings a bell. It was the Chinese communications app, yeah.
So, you know how we had a problem with censorship back in the day?
Hmm.
China also had a problem with censorship with Twitter.
Well, I mean, you call it a problem, but it's a feature.
Ah, that's a good point. And the thing that I don't like about Twitter is the naked pictures or the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
That I wanted them to deal with. But apparently, this Weibo wanted to do this
Hmm.
cancel culture stuff. Okay. So
Okay,
it
okay.
got too big for its boots, right? And it started to go on about how uh, is prohibited from letting their users display content that is obscene, fraudulent, defamatory, or otherwise illegal under Chinese laws. And the
Hmm.
content prohibits also forbid
What?
material that impairs the national dignity of China, is reactionary, superstitious, or socially destabilizing. Do you know
Yeah,
what?
I mean, it's literally. Can I just can you scroll up a little? Sorry,
Absolutely.
because I want to say something. Right. So we can expect within next 10 years if the Western legislation about social media proceeds on its trajectory, then we'll have exactly the same thing, and it will be it will be also prohibition on material that impairs on, let's say, racial equality in America. Is reactionary will stay as is, superstitious will also stay as is, and socially destabilizing will also stay as is. So I am expecting this exact legislation will be implemented in the West within next like 5 years, maybe 10.
You think? as little as that, because I know that there's a bill coming their way, and that's the way that they were able to get rid of TikTok, the sister
Uh-huh.
of Weibo.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that there's a bill coming, and everybody wants this bill because it's going to
Uh,
be, yeah.
yeah, this says section 443 or something like that, 344. I don't know. I think I've heard about it. Yeah, it's a bill that. Uh, can you remind me what it says exactly? To be honest,
Um, it's a bill that covers, positive reflection of a country
extremist
and
content and
stops
things like that. Yeah.
extremism. Yeah, how
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
that is one of them. Then it stops all this reactionary, suspicious stuff and fake news because there was a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
fake
That's
news going on.
basically yeah, yeah. Exactly. It's yeah. That is it. It's slowly going into exactly what China does.
I mean,
And yeah,
I
and
do
it's like
agree.
it's the funniest thing is that it started from the publishers, or as they want to call themselves, platforms themselves. It came from them. It's really bizarre.
And I agree that, even though that this was when it was, there's been a lot of propaganda that has been as a result from doing this. So they had a shutdown of what really happened with COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops, I said the C word. I meant the
Yeah.
virus, right?
Yeah.
Just to make it obvious. So all of that information would have been shut down because it's sensitive information and it goes against China's will.
Of course.
So it would have been shut down and told that it's fake news and all this kind of thing.
Oh yes, the first reports of human-to-human transmission have been treated exactly like that. They were dismissed as just some random scientist just speculating, uh, while it was quite obvious that the virus has human-to-human transmission because it's the same kind of virus that we already have, and they do have that transmission route. Uh,
Absolutely.
and the first doctors from China and Hong Kong and Taiwan that came out and admitted that yeah, there's quite clear evidence that there is actually human-to-human transmission. They were silenced as conspiracy theorists and whatnot.
I mean, talking about the conspiracy of this cancel culture, I'm going to go on to music now.
Okay, okay.
This is the music
It's
side, all right?
all encompassing. Yes.
So CNN did this report, and I'm actually quite shocked because it was in 2015. This is after the Weibo incident. So China's online ban against fart and 119 other immoral songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it says China has banned 120 songs from the internet after deeming them harmful to society. The announcement was posted Monday to the Ministry of Culture website. Music that promoted obscenity, violence, insubordination, or immorality would be banned, it said. So, of the offending titles, all these Chinese songs include No Money, No Friend, Don't Want to Go to School, and One Night Stand, right? And even um, uh, this is hip hop. I don't love Chinese women. I love Taiwanese girls. Was blacklisted as as for a song named Fart that included the lyrics, and that are um are some people in the world who like farting whilst doing nothing. Well, it kind of reminded me of a band, right? Get ready for
Okay.
this, right? It reminded me of Steel Panther, Asian Hooker, right? That song is never banned. It will never be banned because
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a good song, and like seeing what songs did China ban. I think actually, maybe we should actually ban them as well. Maybe there's something to it.
I mean, this cancel culture. I mean, I couldn't imagine life without Steel Panther.
Yeah, no. I mean, still Panther, yes, of course. But yeah, that it was a hip hop song, so it's not gonna be your intellectual heights.
No, no, definitely not. And I'm
Maybe
not
we should
saying
protect our cultures more as well.
I'm not denying that Steel Panther is a
That they
good.
have that they have good reasons for that. Yeah. No. On principle, we don't do that. That's the answer.
Yeah, on principle we don't do that, but I feel as though Steel Panther in concert is very, very, very rare. Like
Hmm.
it will become even more rarer soon. So, what are the odds? I feel as though we've got to that point in society where people just want to say, "Oh no, that says Asian hooker," or "that song says this," or like "we
Yes.
can't have that, it's wrong." Um,
Yes.
I,
Like in Middle Ages,
I, I,
by occasion.
I can't imagine also, right? I can't
Hmm.
imagine, right, a life without. You have to do this with me, right? You have to sing this with me.
No, that's not gonna happen.
And the thing is, you don't want to do it because by the end of the day, right? As soon as I press that button, well, we got no choice. All the girls and boys making all that noise because they found new toys. What kind of toys? Um, we can, well, we can't salute ya. Can't find a flag that will suit ya. That's a drag. School's out for summer. That will be banned. You know what I mean? Can you
Yeah.
imagine? School's out forever. I mean, who wants to ban that? School's been blown to pieces. I mean, come on,
I
man.
mean, that doesn't really bother me because I'm used to it, coming from a former socialist country. It's some songs get banned. You listen to them so that nobody else can hear that about it.
How did you do that, though?
Mm, Well, you organize stuff, right? That's what we call it, organizing.
Did
It's
you have pirate radio stations or something?
yeah, that too. Well, there were these like ham radios, but not very many, because what we were really good at was radiographic intelligence. It, so basically, every single transmitter was owned by the state and fully controlled by it. So ham radios weren't a big thing, but we would use cassette tapes that were,
Ooh.
just copied over and over.
How did
So
you
cassette.
smuggle them in?
Well, you just carried them around. It was very risky, of course, but you know, if you ever bought any drugs, then that is the same idea. You just look inconspicuous and carry it in such a way that nobody can see.
I remember when I was growing up, right? We used to get
Mm,
pirate copies
yeah,
of videos, the
yeah,
VHS
yeah,
copies.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it used to be ever so fun. So I couldn't imagine living my life like that, like they do in North Korea and that.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's,
yeah, yeah. It was
it's
like it was still like that when I was leaving in 2007. To be honest, it was beginning to sort of solidify as as a sort of semi-functioning system. But
yeah,
until then, it was literally like you would go to the stadium, and on the stadium at the stadium there would be people from all over Eastern Europe selling random shit,
yeah,
and that there would be cultural goods that would be previously completely illegal, by the way, to have like American movies or something. So it was like it wasn't like the state would enforce any copyright laws, so everybody knew that there are places where you can buy copied films and music, but they would also then there was the official side of it, right? The state mandated films and music, and they would also have some anti-Soviet propaganda under the table and stuff like that.
yeah. Because the propaganda part and trying to tell
Uh,
you that you can't do something. You know, when you're talking about the propaganda part and copying and Napster, I don't know whether or not you had Napster.
nah,
You probably did do. Um,
nah, I have no idea what that is.
Napster was this downloading music thing
Okay,
before
okay.
before Spotify.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, we were using Kazaa and whatnot back in the day.
but
And there's a lot of Russian and Eastern European sites that still operate, that you can download anything basically.
wow, yeah, I kind of remember that. I remember
I
doing.
still I stopped doing that for a very long time, but now I spoke to some like Romanians and something, and I reminded myself about the Eastern European internet, where everything is for free. It's like it's glorious, glorious. Every show, every film you can ever name, no matter what year it was made, you can even name something from the 40s, and it will be there to watch on the Eastern European internet.
It's like you guys were starved of all this love and freedom of choice and expression, and then all of a sudden you're like there going, "Why don't we make this bastard for free?" And it's just like that's what I want to hear from you guys. I mean, I want to hear that why you turned into metal and why you turned into this sort of like folk and really dark metal, black metal, you know, version.
Mhm,
How
mhm.
did that happen if you were closed for so long? And now you've just made me realize, yeah, quite a lot of films were banned in Europe, right? Texas
Mhm.
Chainsaw Massacre for one of them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And now
And
when
everybody's seen it. Like the fact that it was banned, it made it made it more. Uh, Made people more aware of it, because
yeah.
there's fewer items on the banned list than there are items on the allowed list. So if you put something in the allowed list, there is a good chance it will just be lost in the noise. But if you put something on the banned list, well, that means it's important, right?
This cancel culture does no favors, see? It makes you want it. So um the other thing that I remember is The Exorcist. Remember The Exorcist?
Oh yes,
All right. Now I
yes,
watched
yes.
Exorcist on a VHS tape, and you know the
Hmm.
tracking on the VHS, all right? When
Hmm.
it's pirate copy, very
Yeah,
very bad tracking. So I
yes,
sat there, and then later on, I think it was 2000. I remember buying the DVD, and at the top it said something about the FBI. Contact the FBI if you have like a pirate
yeah,
copy.
yeah.
I was laughing, going, I
Yes.
already tried to watch the pirate copy on a dodgy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It was always very cute to us when there would be warnings on Western movies that there would be warning that copying is illegal, and we're like, oh no, they're watching through the TV. What are we going to do now?
I mean, now we're going to talk about Australia whaling out.
All right.
Um, this is this is kind of good news and bad news at the same time, right? So be prepared for this one. I'm not going to take it lightly. But I'm going to talk about the lady who obviously she got arrested for the lockdown process, but protest. Um, I think it's kind of weird how they turned up into her doorstep. They're not really wearing cop uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just look like the regular Gestapo. Is it me, or is that what it looks like to you?
No. That's literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Civilian dress officers, very very regular looking secret service. Yeah, it's not secret service. I don't know what to call it in English, but yeah, basically snitches with extra powers.
I mean, mm,
They're the worst because they're gonna, as seen, those people are gonna actually abuse people. That they're not. I don't think they're like actual like respected policemen or something.
yeah,
They're the
you can't
first.
see their
They're the
badges. You can't see
first
their
people who
numbers.
responded to the call. Hey guys, do you want to enforce some of these awful rules? And those guys are like, yes, finally. You know,
Oh, that
they
seems
just
like a good idea.
read what sort of privileges they get when they do the job, and they just didn't read the rest, and they don't care about the rest either.
And I agree with you as well on this whole. They come without showing their identity. So by the end of the day, if they do something wrong, right, who you can
Yeah.
complain to?
Yep, I mean, barging into a house like that, I wouldn't be surprised if people started feeding them to the dingoes.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Yeah, it reminds me of the TV license situation and the TV
Oh yeah,
license videos,
enforcements, yes. Oh my god,
enforcement videos. But I
Jesus.
feel sorry for this situation because they're no longer on lockdown, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you know the realization of them no longer being on lockdown. It says thousands of Melburnians will be allowed to return to work. This is who they are, right?
Names and addresses.
Names and addresses. So anyway, right? It says that it's 120,000 of them, right? Will return to
Mm-hmm.
work on Monday, right? Lockdown's eased, and it's like
Like
supermarket.
how many people is there in Melbourne?
Quite a lot, I think. I think it's 4 million or
It
something.
is four. It's 5 million.
Oh, I was close, man. um, yeah, apparently, right, supermarkets and food distribution centres can return to full capacity. Why weren't the heck weren't they in full
Like,
capacity anyway,
uh,
right? It can't,
thank you, thank
it's
you
just,
so much. Your grace, your grace.
you know what I mean? It's like this is just weird. It's
Yeah,
weird. Where,
creepy. Yeah.
workforce limits arbitrators, seafood and meat processing plants will also increase in the with in with line with levels as we know are safe.
Oh my
So
goodness. This line is like, yeah, we're the bosses here, and we're gonna tell you when you can do whatever you like.
I,
Jesus Christ. It's like those people should seriously be like locked up in an asylum or something.
I don't know how they can just not expect like a meltdown. Do you know what I mean? Apparently,
Yes, yes,
students will
it's
return for
amazing.
assessments on October the 3rd, and childcare will open in primary schools, will return to the on site learning at the beginning of October the 12th. Well, that's a bit late, isn't it? I mean, obviously, right? Outdoor weddings will be allowed with a maximum of 5 people, including couple and 2 witnesses.
Yeah, I mean, like reading all these details is so pointless because the nobody's gonna like it's still gonna be enforced absolutely arbitrarily against anyone who the enforcer doesn't like. So yeah, it's really pointless to like publish those updates because the situation is you're gonna be screwed if the enforcer doesn't like you, and that's about it. Because we're having a bit of Stalinism right now, and what can you do about it?
Well, I just don't know how music is gonna survive if we're always gonna be ignoring the fact that people are being choked into existence and everybody else is telling us, no, but you're privileged. How the barmy army can you be privileged? Just tell me that now. How can you be privileged? You know? Um,
You know, I just had a I just had a thought that you know there have been scuffles with armies alongside like China India border and things like that, right?
mhm.
So it looks like China is sort of training its troops while the West seems to be training its citizens.
Yeah, this is what I'm afraid of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We we're just like whatever. But
Yep.
now we're gonna go on to the whales out part,
All right.
okay? Because I've got these theories going on in my head, and I read
Okay.
quite a few comments which have led me to believe the same thing. Okay, so CBS News. Australia begins disposal of 350 dead whales after ending rescue mission. Right? I'm just going to
Okay.
enlarge this so that we go and see. I'm not going to show
Mm-hmm.
you the rescue the whales because that's silly. But Australian wildlife officials began disposing hundreds of dead whales on Saturday, following one of the largest ever mass stranding events globally. They have officially ended rescue efforts, believing there are no more survivors. Conservation experts and trained volunteers were able to save 108 of approximately 470 long finned pilot whales spotted on the remote sandbank in Tasmania's Macquarie Harbour on Monday. Rescuers have spent the last 5 days performing dangerous rescue missions amid unpredictable conditions to save many animals as they could. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
I
gonna.
have an idea. Mm-hmm.
You ready for my idea on this?
Yeah, I have. I had one as well.
Go. You go first, right? You go first. What do you think?
I say the whales were scared of submarines.
Ooh, absolutely correct. Dead on target. The only reason why they would react the way that they would do is sonar. So who's been?
Mm-hmm.
going around scaring the freaking whales. Hmm?
In that region,
In that
who, who's
region.
been who's been active there? Let me check.
Yeah, just check that,
Le- le-
Steve. You know, because by the end of the day, that's quite a lot of freaking whales, isn't it?
yeah, that's Australia. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we used to have save the whales songs, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it could be. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the submarines there. Uh,
Yeah,
it's well, it might be an important location to be honest. It's the whole thing is really located really kind of weirdly.
it's shady. That's what it is. It's shady. And
uh,
if
yeah,
you've
I really
got
don't know how to make it.
if you've got this excuse that it's going to be a bunch of freaking sharks, you got it bloody you got it wrong. I've got to tell you this story, all right?
I
I
mean, they
was
say it's unprecedented, right? It never
yeah,
happened.
I was
Mm,
talking to a World War II veteran this one time,
mm,
and he told me that he used to throw grenades in the water, right, to go
yeah,
fishing, and
yeah,
all the fish would float up to the top,
yes,
and that's the way in which they would fish without using, a,
yeah, yeah.
a fishing net, because they had all these grenades and stuff, and they had no use for them. And this was just like off the coast of Greece,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot
So
of the
you
fishermen,
reckon
yeah,
you reckon Tasmanians are starving from the lockdowns and they have to resort to hunting those whales en masse?
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they've been spied upon.
Uh-huh.
I think Australia's been spied upon.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think those submarines are quite an interesting observation hypothesis that would fit into the
Well,
global games being played out.
we definitely
Because
don't want our animals to be harmed. So I can't think of any other explanation.
I mean,
Um,
it could be some natural thing,
Natural disaster.
unusual, unusual occurrence, but who knows?
You know,
Could be a very natural response to submarines as well. So.
absolutely. I mean, they must have been really frightened, Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
so,
that's usually what happens when an animal kind of flees to its death, as it were.
mm,
That they're either very confused or very scared.
mm.
So who knows?
It is sad because sharks eat one another,
Mm,
and whales are like mammals, and
yeah,
they're like human beings, right? So they would go off in packs and try to
yeah, yeah.
protect each other. So you can imagine how this would have gone down. But you don't really hear anyone making any Wales music or any other artists at the moment saying, "Oh my gosh, if we go to war, that's what will be the casualty." Because it's kind of serious, We have to deter everybody from war. So what's happened in Australia has just made me realise that maybe we are avoiding the prospect of war. Just by playing this game, the lockdown game. Anyway, moving swiftly to the next topic. These are bands that are going to be cancelled. Okay, I promise you. I even went to Metal Injection, and it says, right, and even from March, right, they knew that bands are going to be cancelled around the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. In March.
Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science. Um, quite a lot of things were going on in March,
Yeah.
so uh, I felt sorry because Trivium has just lost their guitarist, their bass guitarist from former times, Brett Young. We've lost Power Trip's main man as well. Um, so there's quite a lot of these people who are only 37 years old. Like, dude, you're young. What the heck? Um,
Well, that's occupational hazard.
so just to get on to the wavelength of where we're at, okay, of 2012, the rest of it. All right. Tool. I would have liked to seen Tool, and I don't really want to lose any of their bands. And I like Scold. Have you ever heard Scold?
Not really, no.
I'm gonna recommend them. They're an Icelandic band, good fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, this whole even mayhem, a bath, gate creeper, idle hands. These bands just kept coming out with their lists of who's going to be postponed. And Machine Head cancelled
Yeah, I mean, to
everything.
be quite honest, I still remember those bands, so that means they must be in the risk group due to age.
You know what you've said makes sense. Because now I'm thinking, my goodness, they're actually losing band members, and it is getting quite scary. So they have to protect themselves. Um, but I'm gonna go show you the list for Rockefeller, right? This list is the official one, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Oslo. And I know you don't live here, but you see all the blacks, right?
Yes.
Those are cancelled, right? Other
Okay.
than that, you've got like podcasts, live podcasts, and they're out as
Uh,
well, right? And
okay.
you've got a live stream that you can have like tickets for, which I think is brilliant. It's good to have a little bit of thing at home. But this is kind of a social event. But never
Yeah.
mind. The bands that I would have liked to have seen is like bands like Ulver, which is like and Ivid. Some of her stuff is all right. She's like Bjork, right?
Uh-huh.
Comes from Iceland. Really, really cool. But she's bye bye. Not coming. So I kind of like got a little bit, even Underworld, right? Cancelled, right? I can't get worried because
Mm-hmm.
some of these bands have cancelled and they probably needed the money, right?
Yes.
More so than these big bands that were probably
Oh
shown
yeah.
on, YouTube and live stream and all that kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
and get money out of it. And even
Yeah.
Enter Shakira, right? That's
Yeah.
cancelled. But
Yep.
good news, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gorte. I remember talking about them last week with Martin. They're still on, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about their marketing. We were saying, it's quite good. So we had positive things to say about Gorte. I would recommend you try a little bit of that because you're into folk music. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would recommend you listen to that a little
All
bit.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Can
Get
check it out.
really involved. Yeah. And it's really sad because bands like Apocalyptica and Epica, that's cancelled. Can you believe it? Got 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 also, I know, I'm trying not to cry here. All right. The things that are really good is Enslaved haven't given up. Right.
All
And
right.
you get a few tickets for that. Yeah. So they're not giving up the ghost. They're wanting to continue with the show. The show must go on. Biffy Cairo, that isn't that's cancelled. Oh well. Um Machine Head, that's cancelled, obviously, I showed. Um and then what other band did I have to recommend to you that was top of the pops? And I say that, but I mean really good. I feel as though Audrey Horne, she's pretty good, right? But
Okay.
that's sold out. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that that will continue because people, they bought a ticket now. It's
Yeah.
too late to pull out. The other one is Oslo S. I recommend that band. You need to listen to them. Then there's other bands that like Spider Gourd. I recommend them. You will like them. And last but not least, fingers crossed, next year is going to be a good one because we've got Mayhem,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not sold
Okay.
out yet. I'm actually quite surprised because perhaps people are a bit nervous, don't know what to expect. Maybe they don't know what's going to happen next year. Perhaps.
Yeah.
But the only reason why I wanted Diana Blajana to come on the show is because she was going to host at Inferno Metal Festival next year.
Uh-huh.
She put a whole lot of work into the stuff, and I wanted her to just basically extend the hand and talk about it. But everybody's a bit annoyed. There's a lot of cancellations, and there's a lot of things that are happening that,
No.
yeah, you know what I mean. It's not
Mm.
good. It's not good. But Woodora, right, for next year, that's sold out.
Yeah.
I can't get to see Woodora. I can see Joe Satriani though. If he
Mm.
comes, right?
Yeah. I don't know. He's like 70 now, isn't he?
Is he 70? Nah.
I have no idea. I have no
I think he's
idea.
about 50. But can you imagine me in Skid Row? I've seen them already. But can you imagine that? I mean, good old days. Um, there's a lot of like bands that are still available for next year, so there's hope, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even the bands that cancelled last year, this year, will be playing next year. And you can still get a ticket.
Yeah.
Thing is,
So far,
that's next year, September. Can you believe it?
not really. I
What?
mean, yeah, I wouldn't be making plans for September next year, to be honest.
I'm actually
I
freaked
mean, I
out
mean,
by this.
let's survive until 2021, and then we can maybe think about it. 'Cause
Do you
I'm
think that
really,
it'll
I'm
be
really not
that?
making plans.
You think it'll be that way, that it'll go over the top and things won't be available in February or March? or April next year.
Yeah, I mean, if you see a band that you'd like to see next year and you can buy the tickets, then yeah, go for it. I just wouldn't be really uh, certain that it would happen, you know.
I'm really skeptical because, like Martin and Ice was talking about everything narrowing.
Yeah,
So you won't have so many bands being able to visit.
of course.
So we won't have that sort of like diverse opportunity of metal like we used to, and the
Hmm.
different genres and stuff like that. I'm really worried about that because we can be like, one dimensional. I like to think past a certain point and then be elevated by competition. But globalism, I don't think it's going to exist soon.
Oh no, hopefully not. Yeah, I was about to say that total openness has been an experiment, and the results of it are very difficult to accept to most people, but they are becoming, you know, unignorable. And it's always like that. There's always something happening, like a black swan event. So something happening that people just really struggle to accept, but the longer they don't, the worse they're gonna bite them in the ass later on. And the total openness has been one of those things that we tried, and we were absolutely certain it can only go one way, but it went the other way, and a lot of people still can't accept that it could have gone that way, but well, it has. So soon it will be all will be revised, I believe.
I am still of a skeptical nature that the fears that we've put into our society now, then no, they're still going to be there next year, if not worse, because then we've done 6 months of this.
Yeah,
We're going to have another 6 months. And they're already
yeah. I
telling
mean,
you in the UK they're going to do that.
yeah. At this point, the best that can happen is an outright war with China,
You think so?
because the other way is 1984, just worse. Because in 1984 the party was actually competent, and we can't say that about any government currently in operation.
I kind of have this fear that we're heading down the route where everybody is going to be so sensitized to this, and they'll treat it like the norm, and then everyday life will be ebbed away. So 5 friends you're only allowed, then it will be like no friends you won't be allowed, and
Yeah,
that will slowly begin to ebb away people, because already it's cuckoo, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do hope that they're gonna come up with such absurd stuff that people will just won't have it, and they just universally refuse to accept any further transgressions.
Mm.
But I doubt that because, well, yeah, I mean, the best thing we can count on is really the rulers being so dumb that they will do something so obvious that they won't be able to spin it.
Yeah, it's the spin factor that I'm worried about.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
entertaining the idea that we're all going to live in a cocoon and we're not going to be sociable. That's what I don't want to come in, because then if they do that, then they'll cancel certain types of music and it will just become even more one dimensional. Because already it feels like a little bit like everybody's beginning to look like CCP all the year round. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. I've had you as a Polish person tell me that they've got anxiety. I've had a Hungarian tell me that they've got anxiety over it. So yeah, I'm
I
beginning
mean,
to
it's not an
wonder.
anxiety; it's pattern recognition.
Pattern recognition.
Mm.
Mm, mm, How did you guys survive that crap, though, man? Always with
Uh,
tannoy on, telling you how to wipe your ass. I don't like it. Can we go back to normal? Can we ever?
yeah, that's the question. Huh? That it's kind of like people from my region tend to get sometimes frustrated and tell Westerners off for doing something that's clearly very destructive, but very maybe have some immediate pleasure to it or something.
Yeah,
And the thing is, like we can tell like people when they do bad like things that will come to bite them in the ass long term, but we can't really tell people what to do because that you know and not only it's unknown, it would be the exact opposite of it would be what the communists did, telling
yeah.
people what to do. So it's like, well, what can we do about the West going commie if we would have the possibility of preventing of telling people what to do and how to think in order to prevent it, it would still be the same problem. So it's something like, well, you have to just get poor for like 2 3 generations, poor and really oppressed, so you will learn, then you will revolt and win back your freedom, and then you will forget it and it will happen again. And it's
You know
basically
what
how it
happens
goes.
to the revolutioners, though, don't ya?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like that. Don't expect a lot of people is going to survive.
Yes. And the problem with this is there's a silent way of doing things, which is writing to your government and saying, you know what, loosen the straps a little bit because we
Yeah.
still need to, fund music. Music is quite a therapeutic thing, and
hmm
we need to
But
like,
it is too much. Um,
mm,
and you can see this with the restrictions using the term essential service and essential industry and
mm.
so forth.
I mean,
So
already we've got a buffer,
uh,
right?
yeah, central administration simply cannot manage too much.
Mm,
So they have to literally stop other things existing that they don't want. So it's not that they don't want it, that they're actively opposed to it. It's just too much to manage. So they have to, uh, you know, close down things like music, for example. Yeah,
mm.
because there's too much going on. They can't control it, right? So it can
Well,
be done.
I feel as though we, as the older generation, we needed the concerts. We needed to get along with one another. And
Oh,
those
yeah.
things are slowly dissipating from society. And the more,
Yeah, it's a universal human need, and not
yeah,
only that, that have been, uh, yeah, unfulfilled for a very long time in the West. I don't think that there's a lot of needs that are being actively demonized or just
yeah,
ignored, which is quite bizarre.
it's like Shakespeare said.
While others are actively promoted, and that
Yeah,
doesn't that there doesn't it seems the most destructive are the most promoted at the moment. you know
it's like Shakespeare says, right? Music is the fruit of love. Play on. So I think as though this dramatic end to 2020, because it's coming to its end now. And there's no way that everybody can have freedom of movement in this part because it's going to snow. I feel as though the only thing that we can grasp on to is straws and being able to communicate with each other and encourage each other to do positive things. And if we can't do that, then we're going to lose our existence as a human race. And
Yeah.
that's my insider thing. The whole people shutting down debates or commentary on Facebook. You know what I think? I think they need to grow the farm up, right? And just
Yeah.
understand that these are people who are indoors and not able to listen to another person's point of view. If they were in the pub, they would probably have more time for you, mate. They probably wouldn't be so hostile. And
Yeah.
these are the things where I'm like trying to tell people, look, you've got hate speech, they can fine you for that.
Yeah.
Everything you do, you can be fined for.
Hmm.
This
Yes, of course.
control
This
measures.
is absolutely necessary. It is
Mm.
absolutely crucial that the law is constructed in such a way that everybody is in perpetual breach of some laws, so
Mm-hmm.
that everybody is aware that the only reason why they are allowed anything at all is through the grace of the party.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So since we all know we all are criminals, then well, you know, the people who go to jail, well, best it be the people we don't like, so we can snitch our neighbors or shit like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't want to get to that point where we're snitching on our neighbours. It's supposed to be love
It's
thy
already
neighbour.
happening in the UK and Australia. Yeah,
Yeah. Love
it's
thy
happening.
neighbour. Who gives a damn, man? We need love.
Yeah.
If we don't have that, then we've got nothing. We're gonna lose our existence. And I think music is the fruit of love, so let it play on. Like that's the way I'm gonna end it tonight.
Yeah,
Um
that's a good message.
it
Approved.
It is approved. Thank you very much. Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm crossing my fingers for Diana. I'm hoping that she
All the
can
best.
go
Yes,
soon. Um,
all the best.
and that she spreads a really positive message about Transylvania
Yay.
and the tales of Dracula and black metal. Ooh-hoo-hoo-hoo. So that's going to be really, really interesting. Um, Even if you're not able to come to Inferno Festival and see it in Oslo, it's a good discussion because I don't know, it just seems so mystical. It's something that's a mystery to me. I've always loved Hammer horror. I see the connection of metal and horror music. Horror
Yeah.
the films, not horror music,
Yes, of course.
horror films. And I see this connection. The other day, I watched Belphegor, and it was intense. Their video was, except the sound was a little bit rubbish on YouTube. But we'll give it a chance. Belphegor, go see that. Looks like the Nun, which is probably what we're going to talk about when we do have an opportunity to speak to Diana. I'm trying to encourage her, right?
Hmm.
So have a good one, and thanks for listening, everyone. Like and subscribe, and make sure you turn that thumbs up blue on your mobile phone and dark or light grey or blue or whatever. Just turn it a colour.
Make it blue.
Make it different. Yeah. Spread the love.